they were predominantly talking about communication, which is a very, very important factor, the component in imparting the knowledge in every area. But then in school, the self-realization always remains at the top of this pyramid. So self-realization pertaining to your staff. Now, whether your staff who's dealing with these skills or when they are imparting, whether they have this self-realization. So we do it at the time of interview, when we are interviewing the candidates to be absorbed in to recruit in a school. So we try to understand the thought process of these educators. I'm not saying teachers, educators, the facilitators who are going to be a part of our esteemed organization, the institution who's responsible socially as well. So what is their thought process, whether they have self-realization. So as a principal, when we come across these candidates, we ask them about, okay, tell me about yourself. Let us understand about yourself. And it is like, my name is this, I am this, this is my graduation degree. I mean, we are not interested. We have already read about it in your CV, but what are you as a person? Why are you here as an educator? What difference are you want to make here when you're going to be a part of the educational institution wherein we are going to cater to masses? So it begins from there, the self-realization of the teachers. Why are they here? What are they here for? And then once we do that, we do our screening through that, the degrees, obviously the qualifications which are required, it comes in the CV, post which we try to understand their personality. The personality assessment happens, wherein even our in-house counselor talks to them and understand them. Only then, we can give these young minds, the impressional minds in there, we can give them the authority there. Once we are clear that yes, they are capable of dealing with them. Then comes the maintaining conducive environment in the school, whether it is for the students, whether for the parents or teachers. So maintaining a conducive environment, so wherein through our body language, we need not always talk about skills. We sometimes represent. You become a role model automatically through these certain gestures, certain behaviors of the elders. So since these impressionable minds, when you're nurturing them, it is not that, hey, come on, sit, I'm going to teach you life skill and you need to be empathetic. This is how the empathy goes about. It's not like that. It comes in your body language, it comes with your expressions, it comes in your communications. How am I talking to my office peons? How am I talking to my office clerk? How am I talking to my staff? From there, they are observing you at every point, those 5.5 hours in the school. So that is very important, your behavior, everyone's behavior, the stakeholders in the educational institution, their behaviors towards each other. So grooming your staff accordingly, whether it is someone who cleans up when he opens the door, so in my school we have that gratitude. Our kids, even if they pass out 10th standard, they remember all our kakas and maushis, the floor peons. They will come back. Even if they're coming to office to meet me or teachers, they make sure that they're also meeting our kakas and maushis and dadas, our peons. That comes with the culture that we maintain. So automatically that empathy is being built through the observations. So the respect, for the mutual respect, the expression of gratitude, even if you're entering a classroom, we always tell teachers, when the class is on, you have some work with the students. It happens sometimes, you need some book to be passed on to the next class, or some this kind of mundane things. So, asking for the permission of the colleague teacher. So these are the small gestures through which the students are picking up. Then the special assemblies which we have in the school, wherein the achievements of not only the students but also the teachers are announced, appreciated, rewarded at times. Then you have your co-curricular activities through which there are role plays, or there are information about some great people around the world, or that particular day of the assembly, the important days are shared, how people across the borders have achieved despite adversities. So I think in my last class, we were talking about the I Malala book, and most of my 9th standard students, because we always complain that students are not reading, they're only on the gadgets. But then I was amazed, some of my students, when they told me about, they read about Malala, and also there were a few other leaders across the borders that they've been reading about. And even I, through in that exchange of ideas, I got to know about some new names across the borders, that wherein they were talking about the thought leaders who made differences, and they have been there for each other in the society or community, despite the adversities which they have faced. So I was amazed, so I love my students. That's the reason I talk a lot. I'm a very talkative person. Sometimes people have problem with my talking skill, but then I always feel, when you talk, you are able to open up the minds, and you are able to give some ideas wherein the other person sitting across you is compelled to sometimes share their thoughts with you. So then you have debates happening during the assemblies or even in the normal classrooms. So we believe more of activity kind of a thing. It is not academics only in my school. It is more of non-academic thing, co-curricular thing, wherein we believe in the holistic. My management always tells me that, Seema, we are not interested in only the meritorious students. What we want is, we want to send a fine product who is able to deal with anything and everything on their platter when they are out in the big ocean, whether it is worldly issues, common issues, community issues, personal issues. So when my parents complain that only the meritorious students, generally some parents will always have these offenses that only in the class meritorious students are teachers are inclined to. But I am like very firmly telling them, no, sorry, that's not my school. We don't do it here. That's because we believe in, even the students who are LD, who are not able to read or write. I have got students with CP, I have got students with autism, we have got students with stammering issues. But the way we nurture them, the way we build in confidence in them, because everyone is unique in their own way. That's what we try to tell them through each of our activities. So even if he's stammering, we tell the other class students in the other class that that's not his fault. He's born that way. So you should not make mockery of these things. So this empathy building thing happens. It's a consistent, continuous process. So also we try to always, during assemblies, during our talks, we tell them that adversities are not guests in our life. They're very much part of us. Like a day begins and we go, night time we go to sleep. Adversity is something just like that in our life, So adversities, we should not treat it as a guest. We should always be ready with, what next. After this, after the adversity, there is something next which is lined up. So always we teach them to look beyond this. So each of my teachers are there, they are the participants, and they would agree with it. We always teach our students to look above those hurdles, and we are really happy the way our fine products are coming out. Now our parents, they come to us with tears when the 10th standard result is out. 10 years they were there, we never had to worry about our kids. Now we don't know what to do with them, because you were taking care of everything through each of your activities in the school. And even we are a school in the area wherein children who are sick, who are ill due to whatever illness, they don't like to sit at home. They want to come back. They want to come back and to school and meet their teachers. Now during pandemic time also, they are coming back to us. They come to Shivaji Park. I'm very close to Shivaji Park. So they come for exercising or just, meeting their friends, and they come to us, ma'am, when school will open, we want to see the teacher. So that's how the bonding is very important, So we have a very close bonding with our kids, whether it is the most mischievous, notorious, nuisance value kid, and kid is a kid. They don't know why they're doing what they're doing, because they are still in the confused mind. Sometimes the upbringing is wrong, parenting styles are wrong, sometimes the conducive environment is not there at home. So we always train our staff to understand them empathetically. Then you have the group talks during the classes, during the assemblies, debates. Now, when you have debates or when you have group activities, even if a chart making, so in a chart making, we create groups wherein somebody is good at drawing, somebody is good at presenting, somebody is good at collecting information. So somebody who is always stick to the gadgets, we know that whom to delegate the task. They will get the information printouts to us. So there is always one leader who is good at everything, but then the leader is taught that or trained that you have to take all of them together, because not everyone is perfect. So I think school is the best system wherein we tell them to accommodate and accept the things as they are. So I'm so glad I have got CP students in the school, wherein there are two normal students always carrying them to the washrooms or carrying their books, and as if it's their moral responsibility. So I feel somewhere our the goal or the motto of education is, or the purpose is achieved if we are able to impact. It's not about only the books, because now the school where we are located belong to a average social strata, when people can afford anything and everything, the middle class and above middle class level. So what more than academics we can give them? That's what we try to give them. Games. So we have we do largely in the games area, wherein we have we've been doing archery with students, wherein concentration and focus skills are predominantly used. Then gymnastics is a perennial part of Sane Guruji, Kho-Kho, Kabaddi, wherein the endurance, the agility is built up. So even after the school, students are very much ready and eager. Even in the hot sun, they are ready to practice. When will ma'am come, our trainers come, and so when the today's generation parents talk about, they want to always protect their kids, just too much of, they'll have a sunstroke, or they will have a problem with their skin. And, we always tell them, forget it, they're there on the ground already. And that's how you build up the agility and the endurance amongst the students. I think these are in a way a part of building resilience
with each other. Yeah. Or all related with each other, actually.
You should love yourself. You are the best. You're the best model a God can create through your parents. So love yourself, understand yourself, pamper yourself. That's what we do in our assemblies, and I think throughout in each of our classroom. And we are there. This is our 12th year, and we are roaring loud in the area, and people are just struggling to get into Sane Guruji. I think that is our USP, that not only, but the holistic approach is what is helping us.